welcome to this mini course. It's really going to help dive into the different steps I use to maximize the efficiency of your donor database and of your donors in general. So number one, let's start over here with the segmentation and personalization bit. So that's really when you're going to be able to get to know who is part of your donor database. So number one is to create donor personas. What might a donor persona look like? Well, let's dive in. So this is an example from one of my clients, the Talisman Theater, where we've established these donor personas based on their database and a survey we did with clients. So this allowed us to see who are their ardent fans. So in this case, it was people of a certain age, over 50 years and older. They give about $200 a year. And these are the kind of more details that we can look at where they live and what are their motivations. We can then look into other types of donor personas that they had that were more casual fans. We have also demographic data about them. So this really gives us an idea of who our donors are, which can help us establish what kind of communications we're going to send them, but also just generally how we're going to acquire more of these people. So this is for the donor personas. So now if we continue with the segmentation personalization, the next step would be the segmentation tools. So we can understand who our donors are, but how are we going to translate that into our database? So this is where a donor database analysis, even if it's just in Excel, can be really helpful. This is just an example database where we organize the different donors that the information is hidden based on frequency of giving, the amounts of the donations that they're giving, as well as the recency or the last date of their donation. So of course, the more frequent their gifts are, the higher their point system has been. The higher their donation amounts are, the more points they get. The more recent their donors are, the more points they get. You get the picture. So then we were able to segment the database into three different priorities, which allows you to then, which is the next step, customize your communications. So if we go back to the supporter sphere, we can see here that number 3 is to personalize the communications. So of course, someone who's been giving you $2,000 a year, and someone that's been giving you $20 once, they're not going, or they shouldn't be getting the same communication. So this is where the personalization comes into play when you've established your different segments, but even your personas. Someone that is over 50 years old might not like the same types of messages and communications or be motivated by the same thing as someone that is 25. So this is where the segmentation can really be helpful into establishing the next communication component. So number 1 around communications is to set up automated email updates. So we don't want to have to be manually and sending different emails to different groups. This is where the automation can really come into play. So this is just a little example of what I use. I use Flowdesk for my own email. So this is just an example email series that I'm going to use this just to show you. So this is, for example, in this case, it was for a podcast contest. However, for you, it could be when they sign up to your newsletter, when they make a first donation, or when they make a second donation or become a monthly donor. Then you're going to want to create a series that will lead them towards a certain optimal next step. So let's say they just subscribe to your newsletter and your objective is to get them to make a first donation. So of course, your first email is not going to be make a donation. So you're going to first maybe explain a bit more about your organization, where else you hang out. Are you more active on social media? Where's your website? Or if you're maybe active on TikTok, I don't know what it is. You explain kind of just more about your organization. You wait a couple days. Your next email might be more something like, here's a story of impact. Here's a testimonial. Here's a little video that explains something that we've done recently. Then again, you wait a couple days. You might want to have in the third email something that's more asking the donor or the potential donor what they like or why did they motivated. So it could be a mini survey. You could be asking for a story, just like a little story reply, and please send us a story of like why you're interested, something that asks them about themselves. Then you might wait 2 days and then you might either do directly and ask for a donation to support your organization, or you might ask to sign a petition, or there might be some form of action, and then you could ask for a donation at the next one. But this is just to give you an idea of this curated automated email will be sent to everyone who makes a donation or that signs up to your newsletter, etc. This is one tool that you can use to really automate the whole process. So if we go back to this, using storytelling to show impact, this is a great way, kind of what we were talking about testimonials. This can be a great way to really showcase what you're doing. So this is one of my favorite platforms. It's called ProofPact and allows you to collect stories from your different people. So in this case, this is for my own consulting company. So you can share this page with them in an email or directly after a donation, whatever it might be. And then they select, okay, my experience was positive. I'm in this case a client, or I did a tarot reading, whoever it might be. Then you can either choose to write their story and send it to you, or they can record it, and then you have video content. So this is a great way of collecting stories from your community, from your donors, your volunteers, to be able to then share either as testimonials on your website or on social media. So this is about the regular communication and updates that you can do. The last one would be to maintain active social media presence. So what's really interesting is that you can use a tool like Vista Social, which is my tool, and I know a lot of people use Hootsuite or other applications. It's the same thing. And this can allow you to just create lots of content, and as you can see, lots of videos of myself, but you can really post on different campaigns and really have just much more of an active presence. I find it really helps create more consistency when you're able to schedule it. And that's pretty much the main things I would recommend about regular communication and updates. Then let's move on to data management and analysis. So when we're talking about a donor database, we want to make sure that it's as up to date as possible. And you can do that by regularly cleaning up and updating your donor database. That might be removing any emails that are not working, addresses that are invalid. If there's any credit card like payments that have stopped, making sure to call them to update all their information, any tags, etc. So take the time, schedule it into your calendar to do some database cleanup. The different key metrics or insights that I think you should be checking are really personalized to your organization. If the frequency is more important to you, then you should be tracking that. If it's the length of engagement of how long that they've been with you, then start tracking that. It really depends on what you're interested in tracking. And then finally, use those data analytics to actually create more targeted campaigns. If you have a segment of your donors that have been giving consistently for 10 years, you should probably do a targeted campaign that's focused on perhaps major gifts or an invitation to, let's say, donors that are over 80 years old that have been donating for a while to give a legacy giving. So these are the ways that you can use your data to your advantage to do targeted campaigns to really get the most out of your donors, but also respect where they've come from and where they should be going. The last step on the supporter sphere is really around relationship building and stewardship. Of course, these all interconnect, so they're all related, but this one is really about taking the time to schedule check-ins with major donors. I personally use a tool like Calendly, or there's another one called TidyCal, where you can really send out this link to your different donors and ask them to book a 10 or 15-minute call with you. This is not where you're going to be doing necessarily solicitation of donors. You're really going to just be asking them what motivated them to stay with you for so long, what would they like to see in your organization, and maybe even take the time to just get to know them. That way you can really build a stronger relationship with your donor, and it just makes a stronger relationship in the future. The donor acknowledgement plan is very important. If you don't have a stewardship plan in place, think about it as kind of like a sponsorship plan, but without it being more of a business exchange. So when are you going to be sending handwritten cards? When are you going to be sending personalized emails? When are you going to be making phone calls? These are all the kinds of questions you should ask. And then once again, it comes back to the segmentation tools of you can use your segments to establish who's going to be getting what in the donor acknowledgement plan. And then finally, we offer the exclusive involvement opportunities. Everyone wants to feel special, like they're part of this special exclusive club. And the same thing goes for your donors. If, let's say, your monthly donors get invited to specific events or specific campaigns because they're monthly givers, they're going to get a sense of being, special. And that's what people feel recognized the most. It could also be opportunities to come visit at your place of work. It could be a special invitation to an event. Whatever it may be, making people feel special is one of the surest ways to get them to be loyal to your organization. So of course, this is not a once we end here, we stop. This is a constantly evolving cycle that you should always be keeping in mind. So I hope you enjoyed this little micro class. I'd love to give you more information. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, send me an email, or follow me on LinkedIn, and definitely check out my podcast that will allow you to get more information about all of these things. All right.